Thank you for joining me again this week, this weekend. I hope you've all had a good weekend so far. It is, yeah, it's certainly been a challenging week. I think for many of us, we've certainly, for myself, I've found much of this week to be quite exhausting and ungrounded. For those who weren't on my workshop yesterday, those who were will know I talked about how I broke my toe kicking a rock when I went for a walk on the beach. Certainly showed me just how ungrounded I was. Anyway, thankfully it's just the baby toe, so it'll get better soon. Yeah, it certainly seems to have been a week of ups and downs for a lot of people. I know the clients that I'm working with at the moment, certainly this week, have all said they're just feeling totally weird, totally out of bodied, kind of in an in-between space, which I think is actually where, that's quite a good way to explain it, is this in-between space. I did some work with a friend of mine yesterday who, whenever we work together, we seem to get these, well, when I work on her, we seem to get these incredible insights into what is actually happening for all of us on a collective level. And we really are in this in-between space between the old world and the new world. Nothing really has shifted us completely into the new. We're still unhooking or untethering ourselves from our old realities and our past. I'm just laughing because someone else has sprained their toe on Friday. Mine's also healing really quickly, so obviously it's something about toes. Sorry, let me just let these people in. Okay. Yeah, so we're standing in this in-between space between the old and the new. And what I discovered in working with people this week is that a lot of people were, trying to explain this as simply as possible. It was almost like they had the two matrices that existed, energetic matrices existing within them. So they had the energetic matrix of the old reality, which was dissolving, and then the energetic matrix of the new reality, which was being activated. And so there's this feeling of, 1 minute we kind of feel like we know what we're doing and where we're going, and the next minute, no clarity, no idea, not really knowing what our next steps are. So we kind of in this pendulum swinging mode. And when I looked in and felt into the energies that we're moving into this week, there certainly is this need to take space and time for ourselves to be able to allow the vision of our new reality to start emerging, so that we can have some clarity about what are the next steps that we need to take in our lives moving forward. The other thing that was coming up so strongly so when I look into the energy, it's the questions I go in with, okay, so where are we at as a collective? What is going on? Then I look at how do we do whatever it is how do we manage whatever it is that I'm feeling or whatever it is that I'm being shown. And to enable the vision of our future to emerge, we need to step fully into that and activate fully our feminine energy, our feminine nature, which holds the dreams and the visions for our lives. And we have grown up in such a male-dominated or masculine-dominated society and culture, many of us, and we still very much operate in that world, even though it is crumbling around us. So we've learned how to operate in that reality. We've learned how to work with that energy, and so for a lot of us, it can be very difficult to untangle ourselves from that masculinity or that masculine energy to be able to surrender into the feminine and just to start accessing that energy. And the other big thing that I'm seeing emerging in us now moving forward as well is these concepts or ideas or beliefs or attitudes that we've held about who we are and how we are supposed to be in the world, or how we are supposed to operate in our lives. Those are now falling away completely, because for many of us, we have adopted these ways or these beliefs or these operating systems or programs or patterning in order to manage our lives and to be able to function in this masculine dominated environment. But as that releases and as we let go of that old reality and that old world, so we are stepping into this new world. We're needing to balance those two energies, which we spoke about last week. So this week, it is really about how do you step into the feminine? How do you step into that energy so that you're able to access the visions and the dreams of your new reality, which are already in place. So there is this idea and this concept that gets thrown around about how you must manifest your reality and how you must choose what it is that you want to manifest and bring into the new world. That isn't necessarily how things are in reality, because from a soul perspective, we have already determined our life plan. It is already worked out. What we're needing to do is to move into an alignment with that soul purpose and that soul plan, so that when we are in alignment with it, that is what is being manifested through us, rather than our ego getting involved and determining this is what I want in my life, or this is how I want my life to be. So that can be quite challenging for people, especially if you are living in that belief system that says, I have the power to manifest anything that I want or anything that I desire. To step into the energy of your soul and surrender into that space means that you are able to surrender into the energy of your feminine nature. And you're able to tap into that energy that will then reveal what are the visions and the dreams that your soul has for this lifetime. So the plan for our life, for our new reality and our new world is already there. What we are needing to do is to start activating it and bringing it into our consciousness so that we can take the steps needed to start doing whatever it is that we are being guided to do. On a subconscious level, what I'm tapping into here and what I'm feeling is that there is this alignment that we're needing to be conscious of and work towards strengthening this alignment between our human self and our soul self. It is a more embodied state of being, which means that we tap into a more receptive energy. It means we also surrender into the flow of universal energy, which allows us to tap into the abundance, into the kind of the gifts, the natural intuitive gifts and abilities that we have carried that we're needing to bring forth into our new lives and into our new realities. So that's kind of happening in the background. That's the processes that are happening on the background. It's really is positive, even though on a conscious level we might look at our lives today, we might look at our world and say, well, I don't see the positive thing, anything positive happening. Certainly there are people that are dealing with incredible fears around their livelihood, their health, the world at large, what is happening. We get sucked into the news and social media and what is presented on those forums, and we can actually fall into a lot of fear and anxiety and panic around where I'm going and what am I, what is emerging in the world, and how am I going to ever have any kind of good or any kind of positive life with everything falling apart. But actually, that is something that we need to shift within ourselves as well, because we are no longer working with the old blueprints that dictated in the past how we would live and how we would be. We now need to step into these new blueprints and matrices that say that actually we can step into joy, we can step into abundance, we can step into flow, we can release the idea of suffering and struggle. So as those, and what I'm seeing is those kind of feelings and thoughts are going to be emerging over the next few days. And my sense is we've got a new moon happening in the early, I think it's the 22nd of July. There's a new moon happening there. My sense is that as we move towards that new moon, there are these things that are going to start surfacing, these fears, these anxieties, and these worries that are going to start surfacing. The idea is to actually work with them. If we start to work with them, to acknowledge them and actually overcome the fear and anxiety that is coming up, we are able to actually transcend it. And we're able to step further and further into this new matrix of the new reality, which is one of joy, one of abundance, and one of great, great positive energy. A key to a lot of this lies in us being able to access the energy and the power of our hearts. So there is going to be this need to release the fear, because if we look at what is the opposite of fear, it is love. So we're needing to access that energy of love so that we can actually use that as a force to overcome the fears that are arising up, which will also trigger the belief systems that we have lived in that dictate that our lives are difficult, that we must endure suffering in order to achieve whatever it is that we need to achieve. That is old paradigm stuff. That is old world stuff. It is not what we're moving forward into. And as we work with these fears and as we work with these anxieties and to work to transform them using the energy of our hearts, that is how we are able to step again into that flow of that feminine energy and to be able to work with that. So my sense is that today's meditation is going to be quite a profound one, because we're going to be accessing and activating that energy of the feminine to be able to start working with it. I'm hoping that we're going to be given or shown at least a pathway in which to access that energy that we can use on a regular basis to be able to tap into the visions that we need, or the clarity that we need, and also that ability to be able to align fully with our soul's purpose and our soul's plan for this life. I mean, I certainly, for one, would like to have that knowledge and that insight so that I can actually start to align myself with the plan, rather than, okay, let me try this way, or let me try that way, or and feeling blocked or challenged, because I think that those, we don't have time for that stuff any longer. We need to be able to move forward quite significantly. And then there were a few questions that were emailed to me in the week, that particularly around how we are able to access or work with the energy of our souls so that we can actually bring that wisdom, clarity, and guidance that we need. So today's meditation, I have been shown that it will be an opportunity for us to find that pathway, or to find that doorway. So what I've done before we started was I've actually made a note of some intentions that I have for today's meditation, of what I would like to have us achieve and what I would like myself to find clarity with. So if you want to take a moment now and just think about it. It doesn't have to be everything. It should just be one or two things. Give yourself a moment now to think. Maybe there's a particular choice that is being presented in your life right now. Maybe there is a new avenue that you're uncertain about taking. Just allow yourself to feel into that. You can also just intend that you're open to whatever is most relevant for you at this time, if you can't think of anything. And one thing I've noticed is that when the changes start hitting, they hit fast and furiously. And there's no time to, dither about deciding. It's almost like, here's the opportunity, you either take it or it flies by. It certainly seems to be happening in my life at the moment. Maybe there's anything anyone would like to share. Now's the opportunity to do so. Any questions, anything you'd like to share with us? It's Nancy's birthday today, everyone. Okay, great. So amongst the messages for Nancy, there's a few things here. Someone's mentioned healing the heart wounds around the masculine. So that's a really good intention to have. Yeah, I must say that the shadow stuff is certainly surfacing quite dramatically, and I think it's really is coming to the surface for us to work with and to release. We can't hide in the shadows. Yeah. It certainly is wasteful. Okay, good. So there are a couple of people are just commenting about how they're resonating with what I've been saying. Yeah, finding a pathway to take the first step. And that blank canvas, I think that's a beautiful way of saying what we've been presented with is this blank canvas. But the artist, what we must remember, the artist that holds the vision is the soul aspect of us. So we've got to allow ourselves to channel that part rather than that ego part of us that wants to determine how things are going to play out in our lives and how things are going to be. I must say, I've always found it quite a relief to be able to hand over my life to that soul part of me and say, you do it. I'm tired. I'm too tired to figure it out. Just point me in the direction I need to go. Give me the instructions and I'll do what needs to be done. Yeah, and then Lorraine, I'm seeking a balance between the masculine and feminine worlds. Yes. And maybe even a merging of those worlds so that they become one rather than a balance between two. I kind of feel like we need to move out of the space of separation and more into unity within ourselves. So that's unifying these two forces within us. If we can work towards unifying the masculine and feminine, unifying the head and the heart, and then Nancy, how to stay in hope when so much is sad. Yeah, I think hope is something that we really need to work to hold on to access, and to really believe in it. You know, that even though things look so dark on one level, you know, the reality is that the world is changing and transforming. And miracles are possible. You know, I do hear you with regards to how the world can be seen right now, and how frightening it can really be. And it is a challenge to rise above that fear and to move into a space of hope where we do hold that light. But as I said yesterday in our webinar, we must remember that our purpose lies in the new world. It does not lie in the old. So we, you know, I kind of have this vision in my head every time I feel like I'm getting sucked into that old world that's falling apart. I have this vision of flames and things happening, but I'm walking forward. I'm not looking back. I'm not worried about what's happening behind me. That's where my focus needs to be. And I think all of us, our focus needs to be on what is possible and what we have been tasked to do in this lifetime, and that is to hold that space of light and to manifest that into the world, not keep focusing on the past and the fear of what that past is, what's happening to it. I like this. Shelley had a lucid dream last night of a bright golden light rising from a cloud formation. It kept retreating into the cloud and then emerging even brighter. Oh, that I like. And then I had such a dream last night, a real craving for love between all people. In my dream, I was so soothed by male loving tenderness. I think the merging of the masculine and feminine is so needed, not to be polarized as we've been for centuries. I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think it is time that we move into a space of unity, but of course we have to do that within ourselves first before we can expect that to happen in the outside world. So that needs to be our focus for this time, and certainly everything that I've been getting. You know, I think every week I mention the merging or the balancing of the masculine and feminine energies within us, and how important that is. And if we look at this time that we're moving through, and how important it is that we move out of that separation, that idea of separation, and into a space of unity. We do need to unify within. And I always like to look at ourselves as, you know, we have these 4 different parts, 5. If you consider the center part of us as our soul, the 4 other parts that exist around us are the masculine and feminine energies and the head and the heart. And it's those parts of us that need to kind of come into the center to merge with the soul energy, so that every aspect of us operates from that place. Okay, Lorraine's mentioned again that your son's still struggling with hope for their lives. That can be challenging to help other people see the hope. I think what is also, Lorraine, you've just mentioned here, that you're feeling quite depleted because your energy, it's taking a lot of energy for you to be able to help your family find hope. I think it is really, really important that you look at how you can manage your energy as well during these times. It is essential that we do that. We need to conserve our energy for ourselves, because we are moving through so much ourselves. You can remember, you can only do so much. At some point, your son needs to pull on his own energy and start working with that. But maybe you can get some clarity today in today's meditation with how to do that, and how to help them. I do know that my eldest child has told me in no uncertain terms she does not want to hear another thing about what's happening in the world. She does not care. She says I make her want to cry every time I mention something. So yeah, we've agreed that I won't bring the horror stories to the family dinner table. I will just quietly process them myself. I must say I don't feel caught in the fear or the worry or the anxiety. I'm more in the space of amazement at what's happening, and there's this part of me that kind of looks like I feel like I'm watching a movie. So there's that disconnect. It doesn't feel real, but obviously for the younger people it does. And maybe, I certainly am advising everyone to be very careful about what they watch and what they are reading. It really is important to just, because it can drop our energy levels quite dramatically when we are continually focusing on the news and everything that is being posted around what is happening. There's some really difficult and painful things that are emerging. Okay.
Kate, it must be very difficult for the young people who didn't get their graduations and didn't get their proms, and my niece is supposed to get married the first weekend in September, and my sister and brother-in-law had to kind of say to her yesterday, you really need to think about, canceling because whatever. And she's just dug her heels in, and you can't promise it'll be better next June. But it must be so hard. It's hard enough at 66 to say, okay, maybe I got 20 good years left, but to look at their whole life out there with what's going on and the politics everywhere. I mean, horrible in the United States, but other places too. And I don't know, I feel for them. It must be hard for them to hold hope.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think that, and sadly, I think that most of us and most of the young have been taught, that this is the reality that we live in. This is how the world operates. This is how it works, and they've learned to work and operate in that reality. And now suddenly things are changing, and for many of them, they've never been through such significant shifts or changes. As I think, the older we get, the more we've been through things. We've been through heartbreak, and we've been through the ending of relationships, and we've been through the loss of jobs and the loss of people we love. And whereas the young haven't really experienced the depth of that kind of stuff. I'm not saying everyone, but mostly. And so it can be really hard to move through transforming phases when they don't really understand that sadness passes, or the depth of sadness lessens, and we move beyond pain, and we do find hope again. And even in our darkest moments, we know that there is always some sort of light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, thanks for that reminder. Elizabeth Rose says, but that's where we come in. I agree. It is, again, to hold that light for others. And I think also, you know, for a lot of the young people, we need to be able to be the ones that hold that space of hope for them, to be able to say, yes, well, your life may be falling apart at this time, or the vision that you had for how your life was going to play out may be irrelevant now because the world has changed so dramatically. So what are the other things that you would like to do? What are the things that you've never taken into consideration? And I think that it actually sits with everyone. You know, we've all had a particular vision of this is the path I'm on and this is where I'm going. And now things have shifted and changed, and we are having to adapt. So it can be exciting, you know, to figure out what are the opportunities that are actually presenting themselves now. How do we expand our awareness or our vision or our perception to be able to see where these opportunities lie, so that we can actually step into them or take advantage of them? I mean, I have heard the most incredible stories of people's their livelihoods coming to a complete halt, and how they've found other ways. I have a friend who she has a number of different jobs, and all of them came to a halt with our lockdown. Here in South Africa, we weren't allowed to buy alcohol for 3 months. And during lockdown, which was interesting. Cigarettes are still banned, but alcohol, you can apparently buy that. But in the 3 months that you couldn't get alcohol, she became a bootlegger. And she was driving around, dropping off, I think it was gin, of all things, to people. So she made a plan, and she said she made more money in lockdown than she did when she isn't in lockdown. So yeah, I mean, she's just one example of someone making a plan and getting things and taking an opportunity where she saw it. So I think we need to maybe also look at, you know, the world is changing. So where is our place in that world? And for the young people, that can be difficult because, you know, I mean, certainly my eldest daughter is at university. University's come to a grinding halt. She's doing fine art. It's very difficult to do that without a studio and all of that. So, you know, she's having to figure out how to do things differently, which not necessarily a bad thing. We get stuck in ruts of this is how things should always be. Not a bad thing to have things shaken up. Oh yeah, they couldn't do that in the US as they feared that people would go into detox too rapidly and end up in the hospital. Well, we had the idea of why they banned alcohol was because of the amount of people that end up in our emergency rooms because of alcohol-induced accidents. Stabbings, gunshot wounds, abuse, you name it. And I think it worked for a while, but I can't imagine the poor people that had to go through those detoxes. All right. Anyone else have anything they'd like to share before we get into our meditation? Okay. I think when you're ready, just allow yourself to, thanks, Megan. The old rules don't seem to apply anymore, and many young people don't realize they can make their own rules, choose their own path. It seems to frighten many young people and old that they can now be anything they want and be responsible for themselves. Yep, I agree. Especially for those that are sticklers for rules. I've never been one, so hasn't impacted me in that way, but I can imagine for those people who do like the rules, it can be very difficult. Okay, so let's allow ourselves to move into a space of meditation. Just again, reminding yourself before we go in of the intentions or anything that you are wanting to get clarity on, just remind yourself of that. And then when you're ready, closing your eyes. And just drawing your awareness into your breath. And just keep focusing on your breath. Use your breath as a tool to let go, to relax, and to settle into this moment, settling into your bodies. And allow yourself to draw your awareness down to your feet. And through your feet, feeling the connection that you have to the earth, to this beautiful planet that we live within. And now moving your awareness to your heart center, in the center of your chest area. If you want to, you can place a hand on that center just to help activate it and open it. I often find gentle pushing on that area helps to stimulate the energy. And just feel yourself connecting to the energy of your heart. And breathe into that space, breathe into that heart center. As you breathe into it, feel it expanding and opening. It can feel a little discomfort, there can be a little bit of discomfort as you do this initially. Some people even feel a physical pain. Just breathe through that. You may feel emotions rising as you breathe into this area. Just acknowledge them. But keep your focus on expanding and opening your heart center. Now, in your mind's eye, see yourself standing at the entrance to a cave, but you're not looking into the cave, you're looking out of the cave. And just allow yourself to become aware of what you're looking out onto. Allow the feeling or the vision to rise up in you. And if you can, take a step out of the cave. And allow yourself to become aware of the environment that you've stepped into. And you may become aware now on either side of you, on your right hand side, the form of your masculine energy presents itself. And on your left, the form of your feminine energy. You may just sense and feel these beings as a presence. You may see them as light and color. They may present themselves as human forms. Just know that whatever is presented to you is relevant and important for you. And allow yourself to connect to the energy of your feminine and your masculine. And ask them what is needed to bring you into balance and unity. To bring these two forces into balance and unity. And if you can, allow these two energies to merge within you. And now allowing yourself to feel into and connect with the feminine aspect of you. You may experience that aspect as a deep stillness, powerful peace. Just feel that energy of the feminine as it radiates throughout your entire body and being now. And allow her to give you the wisdom and the guidance and the clarity that you need at this time. The answer to the questions that you may have. The vision that you need at this time. What is the message that the feminine has for you? And then when you're ready, allowing the feminine to step back into balance with your masculine energy. Feel those two forces, those two energies rebalancing within you. And now look out at the view in front of you. Has it changed? Has it shifted? And maintaining the connection to the feminine and masculine within. Allow yourself to step back into the cave behind you. Allow your eyes a moment to adjust to the dim light. And in the center of the cave, sitting at a fire, is an ancient and wise being who invites you to sit beside the fire. This ancient being has a message for you that is relevant to this moment and to this time. Allow yourself to receive that message. Thanking this being for its wisdom, its insights, its clarity, its guidance. Allow yourself to move back to the entrance of the cave. And when you're ready, taking a few deep breaths, drawing your awareness back into this time, into this space, into the room that you're in. Breathing deeply into your body and being. Moving your fingers and your toes. And you can open your eyes when you're ready. Suddenly got a little chilly here. How was that for everyone? Hope you've managed to get some nice clarity, insights. I hope that was a beautiful view that you were looking at, Nancy.
No, it was a news flash that was somebody set a statue of the Blessed Virgin Mother on fire in a Boston church. And I'm like, really? Whatever.
Okay. Yeah, there's no sense in any of this. I don't think we must even attempt to try and make sense. Lauren, wise words from the woman was be yourself. Yes. That's all we can be.
It was very helpful yesterday and today, the idea that you have to stop looking back and just keep looking forward. I really focused on that yesterday after we met, and I'll keep trying to do that, because otherwise it's so easy to be pulled into the gulf of sadness here and dysfunction and whatever. And you're right, we're not heading that way. And if we can believe that, maybe other people will.
Exactly. Well, I think that, we don't show people a new way by standing on our soapboxes and telling everyone that's the way we need to go. We actually we do it by doing it ourselves, by moving in that direction ourselves. People start to see, why are you so okay with everything that's going on? Why are you so okay with the changes and not so fearful? And then they want to follow. Lorraine, when you finish your book, your masculine and feminine energies will be unified. That's a good incentive. And Lynn, taking one stepping stone at a time, and the gifts are already there. Nothing to do as the opportunities will come. Yes, exactly. That is all what the feminine is about. It's allowing the opportunities to come to us, not having to march forward to try and get them. Ah, yes, Megan. restful knowing you are strong enough. Be restful knowing you are strong enough. Exactly. Yes, Lorraine, lead by example. Yes. Let go of the sadness, and that you are wise and beautiful, and the world was waiting for you to embrace it. Yes. To feel safe with my masculine in the world. Yes. I think that's also, interestingly enough, our masculine and feminine energies are greatly impacted and influenced by how we have seen our parents operate in the world, how we've seen the significant people in our lives operate on those levels. And as a result, we've grown up and built within ourselves a perception of the masculine and feminine that is completely dysfunctional. And we need to shift that. We need to step into the essence of what that true masculinity and that true femininity is within us, not what we've been shown in the world. I certainly know that for most people, we haven't grown up in incredibly functional and healthy families' lives. We've had the dysfunction in our faces, and that isn't what we are developing and growing and transforming in ourselves. We are stepping into the essence of what the true feminine and masculine energy is. It lives within us. We were born with it. Now we just have to activate it and access it. Oh, that's great. Lorraine, being pushed out of my comfort with my feminine into a leadership role with more balance so that I can bring my feminine gifts to the world more visibly. Yes. Oh, yeah. Hideous parents relationship. I had that too. Never understood what that was about. And then I did it myself. So trying to follow that pattern. Thankfully, I didn't stay for long. But I think it's also that relationship between the masculine and feminine. We've got to work out that it's actually okay. And I think for most people, certainly what I've noticed, most people, their feminine energy is very underutilized. So a lot of people have these really strong inner feminine energies that haven't been used, haven't been worked with. And the masculine is just about falling apart because all his energy has been utilized, and we've been drawing on that to survive in our world. And we must move out of survival now and into the place of being able to thrive. And we need our feminine energy in order to do that. So focus on that balance as we move into this week. Please be aware and conscious that things are going to come up. Don't take them personally. Don't get sucked into the drama of the pain or the drama of the grief and the suffering that is coming to the surface. Just acknowledge it, recognize it. This is coming up. This memory is being triggered. This pain is being triggered. It's just coming up as a wave to be moved through, not to now hold on to and feel and relive the experience. It's going to happen. Just go with it. Yes, healing the wound of the feminine is necessary to then channel those gifts into action. Yes, I agree. Good. So the feminine in green, that's lovely because it's healing. The masculine is black, is maybe the unknown. And we can often see the black as a negative, but it isn't necessarily. It just can represent the unknown, which is quite positive actually. Tapping into a power that you're not used to, that you're not familiar with. Good. Okay, so you've mentioned the view went from daylight and then into a dark evening scene. That's good because it means inside. You need to go inside. So it's the internal world that you need to access rather than the external world. And I think that is something that all of us need to be working with. It's very much working with our internal world. That is where this matrix of the new reality exists within us. The more we access that, the more we trigger that energy and that power, the more we can start to work with it and start to manifest in our lives. And my feeling is that, you know, the internal needs to adjust before the outside world is going to manifest that. You know, it all starts inside of us first. And if we can develop that new world in us, it will automatically start presenting itself in the world around us. What's that saying? What you focus on is what persists or what manifests in your reality. You know, so if we focus on the past and we focus on that old world and the destruction and the devastation that's happening, that's all we're going to see. And I think we need to consciously tap into ourselves so that we know actually that everything is in divine order, that it is divinely orchestrated, even though it may seem to be so dark and so dismal. I don't know if anyone follows Lee Harris. Yeah, and his latest, and he said we've got, what, 4 years? 4 years of transformation and change happening, at least. Then it feels like Mother Earth has something new inside and is nurturing it until it's stable enough to come up and present itself. I agree. I agree with that. I think that. Yeah, Nancy, it sounded exhausting. Yeah, well, I just actually wanted to put my head down and say, okay, I give up. I'll go to sleep for 4 years and wake up when it's all over.
That's when I go back to one day at a time. I can just get through one day.
Sometimes hour by hour. Yeah, I enjoy Lee too. I think he's great. And he's pretty open and honest about what he's tapping into as well. So it's always good to know he's not bullshitting us. Yeah, 4 years. Anyway, I did say a couple of webinars back that, you know, in South Africa it took 4 years for us to move from an apartheid government and into a democratic government. So maybe 4 years is what it is. But I don't think it needs to be all bad and all destruction. I think it is definitely, you know, there are positive things that are coming out of this. And I mean, we're starting this community, which is something that only started in lockdown. It was when I was inspired to do that. So, you know, good things are coming. All right. Well, thank you all for joining me again this week, and I hope you can make it all for next week's session. I think it's good to keep the momentum going and keep the connection happening. Oh, that's so lovely, Fiona. Nancy, did you see the candle?
Yeah, but the candle's gone out. Hang on, I got to do it again.
Hang on, light it again.
I think you needed some light. You needed a birthday candle. There you go. Happy birthday. I never bake. It's gone out. Happy birthday.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everybody, for sharing my birthday weekend with me. My sisters always come out and see me, and they couldn't travel this time. And well, I told them not to. And so it was a nice way to spend. Thank you very much.
Oh, well, I hope that the rest of your day is beautiful and special, and you hear from all your loved ones. And may the next year be better and better and better.
Yes. Yes, thank you.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much. I'll see you all next week.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.